afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for how to digitize and streamline contractor management. I'm your host, Alex Uretsky, Digital Marketing Coordinator at ANX Business Media, and I want to thank you for joining us for this 20-minute webinar. Just want to take care of a few housekeeping items before we get started here. Firstly, this webinar is being recorded, so if for any reason you have to leave early or you miss part of the presentation, a link to the recording will be emailed to all registrants in 24 hours. Secondly, questions can and should be submitted to the Q&A function at the bottom right of your screen, and they will be saved till the end of today's 20-minute presentation. Now, without any more distractions, due to popular demand and following up on their webinar from a month ago, there's going to be a Cognibox demonstration today for you all, and I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. Dylan Street, industry expert at Alcumus, creates safer workplaces by collaborating with major companies across North America to implement tools and best practices when working with contractors. Now I'll pass it over to Dylan for his demonstration.
Thank you so much, Alex, and welcome everybody. Good morning. If you were part of our previous webinar, welcome back. And if this is your first time at one of these, welcome. So like Alex mentioned, about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, we hosted a webinar through OHS Canada, and we had a Senior Vice President of Health and Safety join us for a conversation talking about the challenges organizations face when working with contractors and how these lead to problems and risk on job sites. And so coming out of that, there was a lot of questions and requests for a more hands-on demonstration of the product. So that's what we're going to go through today. If you scan that QR code that's on the screen, that'll pull up a digital business card. And there you'll have my phone number, email, and a link to connect on LinkedIn. So if anything we talk about today resonates and you think that there's an opportunity to start using technology to implement technology to elevate your own contractor management program, I highly encourage you to reach out and continue this discussion going forward. So without further ado, I'm going to switch my screen here and take a look at the Cognibox platform. So this is what it'll look like to you as a hiring client when you first log in to Cognibox. As you can see, there is a number of different functionalities listed on the left side of the screen here. Each feature or each module serves a unique purpose in the contractor management process, everything from pre-qualification all the way up to post-job evaluations. So I'll probably spend the majority of the time today talking about the qualification module. So how you can onboard contractors and pre-qualify them, collect documents, everything that you require contractors submit and have reviewed prior to them coming on site is done in the qualification module. And that's really the foundation of any contractor management program. And then from there, we'll go on to talking about how you can then manage the compliance of the individual workers coming on site, have access to our e-learning catalog. We have a catalog of both generic courses as well as the ability for you to host your own custom e-learning courses. So things like site-specific orientations or training that you may be doing in a classroom today, but you want to digitize and be able to send out to contractors prior to them coming on site through doing it online or through our mobile app. Then we have analysis and task, which allows you to create tasks and assign contractors and employees directly to it and make sure that everyone is fully certified and holds the right training to get that specific work done. And then we have our performance evaluation tool. So before I actually get into these, I want to start in the settings, which is at the very beginning. This is how we set up and configure Cognibox for your organization. It's designed to manage multiple sites in multiple locations, regardless of geographical spread. So you can think about this like your site tree, where at the very top, we want to have that high-level corporate governance. But then depending on either the geographical area or the business unit, we may have slightly different requirements. This will also allow you to manage your users better, so limiting visibility and access to people that are just working in a certain area of your business. So if I start at the home, or what we call the billboard, think about this essentially as how you can communicate back and forth to your contractors. So this is where we can allow you to post upcoming announcements, have a document section, post links to external videos, as well as have an events calendar. So let's say you have a plant shutdown coming up in the next couple weeks. You can let your contractors know about that. We can also send out announcements to your contractors and acknowledge read receipts. So if you want to send something out to your full network of contractors, you can do that, or you can just send it out to a portion of contractors, and we will let you know who has read that message and who has not. So the qualification module here, we provide you with a dashboard. This is real-time analytics into the compliance of all the companies that are currently connected to your account. So every box that you see here on the dashboard is what we call a widget. So you can add and remove these widgets depending on the information that you want to see. But typically our clients want to know, of all the contractors that I'm working with, what is their level of compliance and who do I need to follow up with? So I can see in this demonstration that I have 27 contractors. 17 of them are qualified, 3 have been conditionally qualified, and then there's a handful that are pending, refused, or they've expired, meaning that they were qualified at one point, but they did not re-qualify in time. So it's something, or a document has expired on their account. If I go into my list of contractors, all the companies that I'm working with are listed here, as well as their qualification status. So at the very beginning, when we're working with a new customer, just getting all your contractors into one consolidated database is really, a critical first step. A lot of the times we receive a list, and on that list, there's people that maybe you haven't worked with in a few years. And it's an opportunity to kind of clean up the list and the contractors that you're working with, and then give you visibility into what their compliance status is with you. So in this case, I can see that they're qualified, as well as if they have any specific qualifications. So in this case, they're also qualified for confined space, hazardous energy, could be scaffolding, you name it. If I click on their name, this will show me the contractor's profile. So all the information that they've been submitting to us when they created their account and they've been going through the pre-qualification for your company will now be visible to you here. So things like who the primary contacts are, where they're located, what their phone number, etc. We can provide you a dashboard of incident rates over time. So over the past 3 years or 6 years, however long we have this data for. And then for the qualification, we can see in this case, they are qualified when we initially invited them and when they're set to renew. And this is powerful because sometimes you ask contractors to go through a pre-qualification process and 1 or 2 items maybe didn't meet the minimum requirements that you put in place. So they would be considered a conditional qualification. And we can leave a note on there and let you know how long that conditional qualification is good for. And this can be, typically clients will qualify their contractors annually. So every 12 months, they're reminded to re-qualify. And then for critical documents, things like worker compensation and insurance, for example, will monitor the expiry dates and proactively notify contractors prior to expiry so that they know they need to go into their account, upload that document, and make sure that there's no sort of gap in coverage while they're working for you. The questions section of pre-qualification are all the different categories and questions that you want to ask of contractors in order for them to be considered qualified. So we can have a number of different categories. You can ask as much or as little from your contractors as you want in this section. everything from, basic information about their company, health and safety, questions, environment, quality, sustainability, and so forth. So what happens is the contractors will go through, answer each question one at a time. If we're asking for supporting evidence, like a health and safety manual, for example, they will upload it. Once everything's been answered, they submit it and it goes to an assessor. So we have a team of health and safety professionals and verification experts who are receiving this information, verifying it for accuracy, and then providing feedback to the contractor if something is missing or if something has not met your requirements. So for example, insurance, if you have a minimum expectation or minimum requirement of $5 million liability insurance, for example, and a contractor has only submitted 2 million, then we'll provide that feedback to the contractor and ask them to upload the new certificate in order for them to be considered qualified. There is a document section, so you easily have access to any document that has been collected here. And I can just search it by name. So if I say insurance, for example, here's the insurance certificate that was collected and reviewed from this contractor. So I can just open it as another tab in my browser, or I can download it and have it if I need it to send it to someone else within my organization. There is one more part of the qualification I want to look at before we go on to the other modules, and that is partnerships. So often what we hear is that a hiring client will hire a contractor, and then that contractor will go and further subcontract that work out to other people, which is fine, but we often lose visibility into that tier 2 and tier 3 contractor. So partnerships help solve that problem. Contractors can add on their subs, and that'll give visibility to who they're working with, and also trigger them to go through the same sort of qualification that you would with any other contractor. So in this case, I can see that they've added 3 contractors. One is approved, one is awaiting qualification, and one has been unapproved. And also see if there's any sort of notes or flags on their account. So that is the qualification. Like I said, everything that you expect to collect and have reviewed from contractors prior to them coming on site is done within the qualification module. The next step is once the company has been qualified and you know that they have all the right policies, training, procedures, insurance, worker compensation information up to date, is to manage compliance with the actual employees that will be coming on site. So we can have visibility into all the workers and what their compliance is as far as training as well and professional qualifications. So in this case, I see that Lisa is added on. This is all the training that she possesses, whether it was taken through our own e-learning catalog, which is Sim Institute, or it was done through another third party and even in a classroom. As long as those training certificates are submitted to us, we'll have them verified and uploaded to their profile so you can see everything that this worker has done. And same thing for the professional qualifications. I can see that Lisa has a few different driver's licenses, and Red Seals certifications. So like I mentioned, we do have our online catalog. It's available to everyone through our website, which is just shop.cognitebox.net. And it's just a pay per use. So depending on the training, anywhere from $10 to $30, $40. And you all can also host your custom e-learning courses here if you want to easily be able to distribute things like orientations out to your contractors to make sure that everyone has done that training prior to coming on site. And that would be then visible in their e-learning profile, where I can see courses that have been assigned to me, courses that I've completed, courses that are going to be set expiring in the next couple of weeks, etc. So then now that we have the companies qualified at the company level, employees, are monitored and qualified at the individual level, we can create tasks within CogniBox and assign companies and workers directly to these tasks. So I don't have time to go through and actually create one today. However, I can show you what it would look like once one has been completed. So I add the general information about it, which contractor is going to be doing this, who are the people in charge, what are the dates, if there's a work order or a purchase order that we want connected to this, we can do that as well. And we can also track the hours worked on specific tasks. So how it works in the background, there's what we call a matrix manager, and we work with you to configure this. It's custom to your business. And what that means is that when I select the location, the type of work, the OHS risks, that will automatically drive the requirements for this task. So in this example, I've selected 2 locations, the contractor trailer and the fitness room. The type of work that needs to be done was fire protection and security. And then I know that there were a few OHS risks on site as well. So that will automatically populate the specific requirements as far as training, life-saving rules, PPE, and what to do in case of emergencies. Since I've selected the contractor that's going to be doing this task, I will then be able to see and match the compliance of the workers against what the requirements are for this task. So I can see that Dennis and Dominic are 25% compliant. And if I look at their compliance details, that's because based off the specifications of this task, there were 4 training elements that need to be satisfied prior to the work commencing. And I can see that he only has 1, which is the contractor induction, but he's missing the forklift and a few other trainings here. So like I said, the task module, there's a lot to it. So I'm not going to go too into depth today, but essentially when it's completed, you will also have the ability to export it if you want to print this out. So all the information that you've added about the general information, the specifications, the training requirements, the PPE that needs to be on this specific task, employee list, and then at the very end, we can have a place to collect signatures so that everyone from your side as well as the contractor agrees. And we will also be able to print out the specific work plan at the bottom. So what's the safe work plan? What's the steps that need to be done? The risks that will be present and how we're going to mitigate those well on site. And the final module that I wanted to go through today, which really kind of finishes everything off, is the performance evaluation. So this is performance evaluation. We create custom forms for you. So if you have an assessment or an evaluation that you do currently, we can digitize that into CogniBox and allow you to do these online and keep track of all this information. So you can see I've just selected to look at one of my 4 forms that we have created here. It will show me the averages across the top. So from my full network of contractors, here's how they typically, or here's the average scores for the categories in this assessment. And if the contractor has scored above average, their scores will be in green. And if they're below average, they'll be showing in red. So in this case, let me use Onyx Technologies again and show you what an assessment would look like. So if I take my air conditioning unit installation, this was a post-job evaluation. So we've entered some information. We went through each question from each category one at a time. So there was the critical performance indicators, safe work practices, safety management, performance, and a environmental section of this. So we go through one at a time. If there's any documents that are relevant to this, then we can add them here, such as pictures, for example. And then finally, we will show you the results. So each category can have different weighting depending on how you want to set that up. But in this case, you can see the critical performance was weighted 40%, and then safety 25%, etc. And we can see how they scored and what the answers were for each category. And then how this really kind of comes full circle back into the qualification of a contractor is that now when I go to the contractor's profile, let me go back here. So in qualification, Onyx Technologies and qualification, I have visibility into what their average score is based on the number of assessments I've done against this contractor. So what we hear quite often is that contractors, are pre-qualified and everything looks good on paper, but over time we find areas of opportunity to help them improve and get better. So it's a tool that's used for continuous improvement and providing feedback to the contractors. And it can also be done the other way around. You can ask contractors to fill out a performance evaluation about you, so you know ways that you can improve and help your contractors have a better experience while they're working for you. And I know we're just about a minute past what we said we would do, so I'm going to stop it here. Like I mentioned, we can go very into detail about this, but really the goal of today was to give you a high-level look at the different capabilities that are available within our platform. And we encourage you to reach out if you want more information about anything that we talked about today. So Alex, I'll kick it back to you if there was any questions that maybe came up while I was talking.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you, Dylan, for that comprehensive demonstration. We do have a couple questions here. The first one that I saw was, does the contractor have to have a Cognibox account too in order to access all the things you were just talking about?
Yeah, they'll need to have their own account, which they maintain and submit documents, add their employees. If all they want to do is take courses, so our training catalog is accessible to everyone for free, and you don't necessarily need to have a Cognibox membership for that. You just have the pay-per-use for the training course that you're taking. But if you're looking to use it for the qualification of a hiring client, then yeah, you need to have your own account and manage everything within there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sort of a longer one here. If we already have contractors accessing an LMS for review of SOPs and safety docs, would we have to manually transfer the validity into here, or is there a way to link it to another system?
That's a good question. We do have open APIs with Cognibox, so a lot of the time, depending on the system you're using, we can just automatically transfer this information so it updates their profile through an API. If for some reason we cannot connect to that database, or what a lot of our clients do is, training is maybe done in a classroom, as long as you send us in the training sheet with the names and the training that was done, we can do bulk uploads into the system as well. So there's a couple of different ways around that, but yeah, it's very easy. They don't need to be done on Cognibox or through our platform. If it was done through a different LMS or a different training institute, then all that information can be uploaded and synced very easily. Perfect.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dylan. I'm not seeing any more. I'll give them a couple minutes here just to see if there's any more questions. Is there anything you want to leave the viewers with?
No, just thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning to join us. Like I said, most of the questions that we get out of these come afterwards, after you've had some time to kind of digest and think about it. So I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. We do these things on a regular basis. We're always posting, case studies and thought leadership content and interviews with other people in the space. So hopefully this is just, the beginning of a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for the questions that we did have. That is the time for today. Dylan's contact information is on the screen if you want to reach out to him and learn more about Cognibox. Just one more time, I want to thank Dylan and Alchemist Cognibox for their webinar demonstration today, and thank you for your questions. Thanks to everyone for attending, and thank you again, Dylan. Have a great day.
Thanks, Alex. Bye.